That's right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing this morning? I'm good. How about you? I feel good. I've been outside walking, a little light rain out there right now. Let's go ahead and check the weather. Yes, that's right. I'm Ann Eller. You know who you're listening to, the voice of Greenwood. That's right. Let's try that again. The voice of Greenwood. There you go. Yes, I am the voice of Greenwood, so they tell me. I talk a lot, that's for sure. Right now it is 45 degrees outside. Feels like 40 degrees. We are looking for a high today of 52. It is Wednesday, January 14th. In case you're interested, one more day to pay your property taxes before they'll add some penalties. Rain ending this morning, remaining cloudy, high of 52. Chance of rain is 90%, but the rain should be finishing up this morning. Now, this evening, cloudy skies this evening will become partly cloudy after midnight. Slight chance of a rain shower, low near 30 degrees. Woo! You know, it's amazing that there are any well people out there. I'm serious. With the way our weather keeps changing and everything, one day it's 70 degrees, the next day it's 50 degrees, and it's 25 at night. Well, tonight it's going to be a low near 30 degrees. Now, Thursday, I can't believe this. Thursday, a mainly sunny sky, colder, high of 41. We will have some winds, 10 to 20 miles an hour. And Thursday night, mostly clear sky, low of 19 degrees. What happened? I reported on this earlier this week, and the weather was not as bad as this. 19 degrees on Thursday night. Friday comes in with a high of 50 degrees with a mainly sunny sky. Colder, high of on Friday, 50 degrees and a low of 37. Saturday comes in with a high of 52, low of 31. Sunday, we're going into the frigid territory. That's all I can say. Sunday, January 18th. Sunshine and clouds mixed. High of 43. Low of 24. Monday, up to 50, but a low of 24. Tuesday, high of 44, low of 23. And maybe by Wednesday we start warming up some, and we do. At least at night it won't be as cold. So what does all this mean? This means you better be taking care of your pets that are outside, making sure they have a way to get out of the way, and get out of the cold, and also make sure that you don't have pipes that could freeze. That means if they're not totally covered, make sure that they're dripping a little bit from the faucet. That keeps water moving, and guess what? Moving water does not freeze. So there you go. All right. Well, I'm Ann Eller. It's another day. And it is with a great honor to talk about a great, I want to say, a well-deserved award that Debbie Babb. I've known Debbie Babb for years and years. I know her sister, Sandy Babb. In fact, I saw Sandy the other day at OG. It was so good to see her. But Debbie Babb has just been honored for raising $45,000. That's right, $45,000 for the American Heart Association. So congratulations to Debbie. She is a physical education teacher at Hodges Elementary School, but as the article in the Index Journal says, she never set out to be recognized. She simply kept showing up. And she has been a big encourager of children. In fact, over time, over the years, she quietly and consistently added up to more than $45,000 raised for the American Heart Association and a Lifetime Achievement Award that she never expected to get. So she said that her involvement with heart health began decades ago with what was then known as Jump Rope for Heart. And so that she said that the gym over there would transform into a space filled with jump ropes, pledge sheets, and shared goals. Students tracked their progress together, and the month often ended with a celebration. And I love her philosophy. She just didn't have, kids just didn't go around and ask for the money. They had to be actively involved in helping make their goals. And so I think that that is a key component in getting children involved and doing things. And so I just want to congratulate her for $45,000 raised over, 41 years. Debbie Babb, you're amazing. She also has come back from a horrific car accident. What was that, last year? She has come back from that. And on top of that, she teaches guitar. She has a guitar group over there at Hodges Elementary. So congratulations, Debbie, for the recognition that you certainly deserve. Debbie Babb says that she hopes students carry those lessons with them beyond elementary school, learning to be selfless and how to give back. And, you know, that is one of the things that we are seeing, I think, in schools and parents and everything, is teaching children how to give back, how to be involved in their community. Debbie said, I try to build that spirit in them when they're really young. I think it's important for them to know that when you make a contribution to your community, it makes a difference in a big way. And she said she also wanted students to understand the importance of heart health, which remains a major concern even as education and dietary awareness improve. So congratulations, Debbie. You have done an amazing job. I wanted to mention, let's see. Debbie says in this article in the Index Journal, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the children over the years for all the time and the love and the commitment that they have shown to this cause. I just can't say enough about the parents and the kids who have taken the time to raise the money and help people and to help the American Heart Association do that research and further their causes. So that is one of those stories that you love to hear when somebody that has worked very hard, not for the recognition, but just to do two things: raise funds, but also teach our children how to give back and be involved. And I think that's terrific. So kudos to you, Debbie Babb. Thank you so much for being who you are, and keep playing and teaching guitar, and keep being the physical education teacher over there at Hodges Elementary with those honeybees. Yes, that's right. So that's our first story up here this morning, and it's a good one. It's a good one. Isn't that nice to have a good story here this morning? All right. Other things, I hope you were able to catch the interview we did yesterday afternoon with Karen Petit and Stephanie Bowen with the DAR. They, of course, are getting ready for their tea party, the DAR tea party on the 24th of January. That is on a Saturday coming up. And so I hope you will get your tickets for that. They only have 50 tickets. So this will be held on Saturday, the 24th at 1:30 p.m. and will be held in the Parish Hall of the Episcopal Church of the Resurrection on Main Street in Uptown Greenwood. Tickets are $30 per person, and to reserve a seat or for more details, you can email scauthor, AUTHOR at gmail.com. That'll take you right there to Karen Petit. Or you can call 803-477-1971. This is an event sponsored by the Issaquena chapter of the DAR. But go back and you'll learn a lot. And they really have, this really is an event. This is an event they're having over there. And they'll have a harpist. They'll have a spinning wheel. They've got all kinds of stuff going on. And I just wanted to mention that we had that interview yesterday afternoon. Now, coming up this afternoon is another, I think, interesting interview. We'll be talking with Carrie Hoffman, who is president and CEO of the Greenwood Promise. She had, I think, 30 years in television production, newsroom, managing people, and now she's here doing this. What a star position that is, and I certainly am looking forward to sitting down and seeing how the Greenwood Promise continues to evolve and change as it is able to handle more requests and handling more opportunities for our local Greenwood County students. So looking forward to sitting down. That'll be at 5 p.m. today. 5 p.m. today. So that's a couple of things. On Thursday afternoon, I just want you to know we're going to have a comedian, so we're going to have some laughs right here on WCRS. We'll be talking to Michael Holcomb. He is a comedian. He's also a college professor, and he will be here Thursday afternoon in person, driving down from Asheville to be part of the show. We'll be talking about the Greenwood Performing Arts, upcoming comedy, and cocktails or mocktails right there at the Greenwood Country Club. That is on the 23rd. That is on January 23rd. So I just wanted to do some little housekeeping and let you know what was coming up on the afternoon show. And of course, you can always go back and watch it on Facebook. Or you can wait, and usually a day later, we have it right up there on our website, WCRS1450am.net. All right, well, we got some important topics to talk about this morning. That's right, we do. Let me get to my notes here so we can talk about it. Oh, first off, I wanted to talk about the shooting in Greenwood that was Saturday night. I don't know whether I have the most up to date unless something has just come out, but late last night, this is what I had come across. Of course, we know there's a homicide investigation is underway in the Greenwood County after a late night shooting that left a teenager dead. This shooting occurred around 11:20 p.m. Saturday near the 1100 block of Reynolds Avenue, and the victim died in the hospital early the next morning. He was 17-year-old Zayden Goodman, a Greenwood resident. He was taken to Self Regional Healthcare, where he died around 3:20 on Sunday morning. Friends of Goodman told reporters they were at a party at Aunt Kim's kitchen when shots were fired, and they said they didn't know Goodman had been hit until later. They described him as innocent, ambitious young man who had graduated early from Emerald High School, ran track, and was studying to become a veterinarian. This is such a shame that this has happened. It's a shame when it happens to anybody, but when you see somebody that was on track, graduated early, and was studying to be a veterinarian, and he was actually a student at, I think he was at Lander. He was a student at Lander. So the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office and SLED are involved in the investigation. So we will have to wait and see. I've got to say, I'm a little surprised on a couple of things. The shooting that was back on Hall Street, we really haven't heard any more about that shooting other than the person that died and another person was shot in the house that was right there on Hall Street. Haven't really heard anything else. There's a lot of chatter on Facebook about what happened there. I think there was something with drugs involved, but I'm a little surprised we haven't heard more about that one. And now we have this one. This happened Saturday. Today is Wednesday. Our problem is with the instantaneousness of news, we expect to know what's going on. But I would have expected that we would have heard more about the shooting on Hall Street, because that's been, I don't know, what's that been? At least 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks now. And we really haven't heard anything more about it. So I certainly hope that we hear more about this from either the Greenwood Police or the Sheriff's Department, whoever is in charge of that, and what exactly happened on that one, because we have not heard much about that. So, would love to be able to give you more details, but at this moment, I don't believe there are any more details out there. I think our police department, our city police department, our sheriff's department do a good job. I think we have made strides in our community, but just when you think that everything is going good, chaos erupts and we have more shootings. I mean, I can't imagine we don't even know what the shooting was about over there at this latest shooting back on Saturday evening. We don't have any idea. It was at that Kim's Kitchen. Why were they having a party there at 11:20 at night? That would be a question that I would have. And was it in the building? Was it out in the parking lot? There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that we really don't have information to. But anyways, I hope we can get more information about that. And then, of course, on a national level, Scott Adams, who was the creator of the cartoon series Dilbert. But I didn't realize what an impactful person he was until I was watching Fox last night at 10 o'clock with Gutfield. And Gutfield was talking about how much he impacted him with his thought processes and this type of thing, and how Scott Adams did a Mornings with Scott, where he would sit there and have his coffee and his cat and just talk about things, and that he influenced a lot of the political. I had no idea that he was as impactful. I've got to go back and read more about it. I was very interested last night, but then again, it was a little late to be doing more research, and so I gave it up. But I did want to say he died of prostate cancer. They said he knew he was going to die. He knew he was going to die. He had wanted to do his show that morning, but he told his caregiver, is what I heard, that he knew he was going to die that day, so he did not do his show. But, wow, to be able to be a quiet person influencing policy and the likes that he did, Scott Adams, I think is pretty amazing. He Reframe Your Brain. I think that was a book that he wrote, and he said that something about talent stack, have several things you're good at. Don't be good at just one thing. That's called a talent stack. So he also believes that have a system for success, not goals, which I find very interesting. Have a system, not goals. So I'm going to have to do some studying on that. I wish I had been in the loop on that one. He seems like a really interesting guy, and I'm going to go back and probably bring you some more details as I find them out. But they said a lot of people in the White House are probably very, very sad that Scott Adams has died because of the influence he had on policy and this type of thing. So, and I really thought Gutfield said something else. He said while he was teaching everyone to live, in doing so, he taught people how to die. I think that's pretty impactful because we all don't know how to die, do we? We don't know when it's coming. We don't know. But in this case, Scott said that he knew he was going to die that day. The pain, the painkillers he was on and everything were affecting his speech and whatnot. But we never know who will impact us as people do. And to hear Gutfield, who is very off the cuff and very irreverent most of the time, to hear him talking about how he started each day with Scott Adams and it refocused and gave him perspective. I thought it was an insight into Gutfield as a comedian, as a big star on Fox News, to have such a highly rated evening show on Fox and everything. I thought it was pretty impactful. Anyways, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. We've got some interesting things happening down there at the State House. You know, first day of the session. Let me ask you something. I'm changing gears now. Changing gears. Let me ask you. Here, let me take a sip of my tea here. There we go. Let me ask you. South Carolina bill that would ban abortion after conception introduced on first day of the session. Of all the things we have to do, we have the heartbeat bill. Why? Why does that have to be the first thing that we're now going to talk about? I understand they're going to hold, the State House Subcommittee is holding a hearing on two controversial abortion bills today. I believe, let me click on it and see, I believe it's at noon today. Can we just, I mean, I don't care the second day, the third day, but they are ready to roll on this again. So, State House Subcommittee to hold a public hearing on two controversial abortion bills. The South Carolina House Judiciary Constitutional Laws Subcommittee is set to hear testimony on two controversial abortion bills today. The hearings are scheduled for January 14th at noon in the Blake Room at the state capitol. Will address House Bill 3537 and House Bill 4760. Both bills have sparked significant concern among abortion rights advocates. House Bill 3537 seeks to redefine person to include an unborn child at any stage of development, asserting that life begins at some conception. The bill would allow abortion or attempted abortion to be prosecuted as assault or homicide. The other House bill, let's see, what does it say? Under that bill, you can be charged with homicide for getting an abortion or providing abortion care, which in South Carolina means you can get up to life in prison and even the death penalty. The other bill, House Bill 4760, aims to criminalize the delivery, dispensing, distribution, or provision of abortion-inducing drugs, making it a felony with penalties of up to 5 years in prison and a $50,000 fine. The bill excludes contraceptives, emergency contraceptives, and the use of mexotrate for ectopic pregnancies. However, the potential impact on miscarriage care, noting it would significantly impact miscarriage care because so many women use abortion medication to pass a miscarriage. So, the hearings will allow testimony on a first-come, first-served basis with the option to submit testimony via email through Tuesday evening. Concerns have been raised about the simultaneous consideration of both bills. The fact that they're doing them together is a little concerning. We don't want one to drown out the other. It does seem a little bit over the top to open up the session with that. But what do I know? What do I know? It is something that is definitely on people's minds, and I guess they want to put that out there first and see where they can go with that. So that's what's going on right there. This is another interesting case that's going to be going on. The proposal to expand the Heritage Act protection to all memorials advances in the South Carolina Senate. Several years ago, we had I'm going to call it a big deal with the Heritage Act when the monument in uptown Greenwood, right out there in front of Howard's, that lists all the people who were in, World War I and World War II, I think. But it had them divided on the World War I by black and white. Those became the center of attention for the Heritage Act. Eventually, the mayor and a couple of others, Mayor Adams at the time, were very much in favor for changing this. In fact, the Mayor Adams had raised the funds to be able to replace them. I think it was about $15,000 to replace those. They went out one day and just replaced them. Nothing was ever done about it. Even though they were, quote, advised not to, that those were Heritage Act, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so here we are today. Proposal to expand the Heritage Act protections to all public memorials advances in the Senate. State Senate Danny Verdon from Lawrence presides over a hearing. Well, that was yesterday, Tuesday, in the Senate office buildings. A bill that he sponsored extending the protections under the Heritage Act to all memorials on public property in South Carolina. The bill, introduced by Senator Danny Verdon and co-sponsored by 29 other Republicans, would extend the protections under a portion of state law commonly called the Heritage Act to all memorials on public property in South Carolina. It would also stop the addition of informational plaques placed near some monuments in recent years, offering broader context on the bad parts of history. Republicans on the panel, chaired by Verdon, voted with little debate to move the legislation along for consideration by the full Senate Finance Committee. The two Democrats on the panel did not vote. Representatives of two associations representing South Carolina cities and counties opposed the proposal, saying it preempts local authority. Members of only one group, the American Heritage Association, spoke in favor. A twin proposal in the House has yet to be heard. Both bills were introduced last March. For a quarter century, state law has given the legislature sole authority over whether to remove or change the name of any building or memorial on public property that commemorates American wars as well as Native American or African American history. In 2021, the state Supreme Court upheld that authority. But that did not stop the 2020 removal of the bronze statue of John C. Calhoun from downtown Charleston Park, promoted a title that actually, no, it says, let's read this right. That did not stop the 2020 removal of the bronze statue of the John C. Calhoun from a downtown Charleston park, prompting the Charleston-based association to declare the so-called Heritage Act a title that actually nowhere in state law and no longer effective. So, looks like that is coming back around. I think that's interesting that they did this. The group sued on behalf of descendants of Calhoun 2 years after Charleston City Council voted to lift the statue from its 125-foot pedestal where it stood for 124 years. The council's vote came after the aftermath of a white police officer killing George Floyd in Minneapolis. The group wanted Calhoun's statue back on public display, but somewhere in Charleston, but not in a prominent location. You may remember after George Floyd, there was a lot of removal of statues. Some were totally taken down, not only in South Carolina, but across our country. You know, the bottom line is you cannot change history. You cannot change history. I find it interesting that in this bill, they do not even want a plaque explaining why something was the way it was at the time, why we have changed, evolved, or whatever the situation may be. So I just wonder why this is coming up now. I guess that's my question. But we will see how this goes. We will see where it actually ends up. Does it move forward? Does it become that nothing can be changed on a monument? I don't think the monument should be changed. I do not find a problem with having a plaque explaining how times have changed, but this is the way it was in history. You know, there's a song, and history repeating. If we do not know what history is, we have a tendency to repeat it. And that is so true. So, but I find it interesting that they talk about that, but they don't take it back to nowhere in the article does it talk about Greenwood, and because that at the time was a pretty big deal. But this one simply talks about John Calhoun down there in Charleston. Other monuments. Let's see, maybe it does. Does it say it? Nope, I don't think so. The Heritage Act. Yep. So something to watch. It's not really, I don't think it is, will be a monumental decision. It will just be a decision as to how we mark history. And that, I think, is why we have museums, why we have these things, is to mark history. All right, I'm Ann Eller, right here with you this morning on WCRS Radio. We have a few more things to talk about here today, so let's see what else I've got on my list here for you. We've talked about the abortion. We've talked about the Heritage Act. What else did I really want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Yesterday, the Supreme Court heard a case on trans athletes and whether they should be able to compete in women's sports. The general consensus on that is that it did not go well. It did not go well for the change. So hopefully, when the Supreme Court rules on this, and I mean hopefully, that women's sports will be women's sports, Title IX will still be in effect, and that we will have women's sports with women and men's sports with men. And if they want to have a trans athlete group sports, I have no problem with that. Maybe that is the answer, to have men and women who are trans be able to have their own category. Maybe that is the answer. But nobody seems to talk about that. They just seem to talk about men trying to take over trans, how do you describe this? Trans men being able to take over women's sports. And we have countless, countless situations where bad things have come from that. Here in South Carolina, we're not supposed to have trans people in women's sports, in women's dressing rooms. This is not supposed to happen. But the very fact that they are, that this is something that has made it all the way to the Supreme Court. A lot of people are kind of asking, why did the Supreme Court get involved in this? I think it's perfectly, in my mind, perfectly logical. We need somebody to to put this to bed and say, we're done with this topic. I think Title IX should be enforced. I think women athletes should, it was designed to give women the opportunity to succeed in sports. So, there you go. That's my take on it. Ann Eller, this is WCRS. Have a question or a conversation you'd like to have? 864-332-9355. That's 864-332-9355. That is the number. Am I correct? Every once in a while I have to check, at 332-9355. Call or text to weigh in on that. I haven't even checked to see if anybody has weighed in on that. Let's see if we got anybody on here today. Let's see. Somebody just said they agreed with me on this Title IX women's sports, so I got a thumbs up on that one. That was good. Anybody have anything to say about the Heritage Act, or is that just old news? Don't you find it interesting? This is totally off the topic. Don't you find it interesting? The things that our Senate and our House, right out of the gate, that's what they want to talk about. They want to talk about abortion. They want to talk about the Heritage Act. And then they'll get bogged down in this stuff, right? They'll get bogged down in this stuff, and we'll spend a whole session, and will we get anything done? I think we need to come together and get some of these things done. Well, what would you think needs to be done? Well, I think a big one is going to be, if you're going to do tax reform, I think that is a big one to come forth. What other bills? I'm surprised that marijuana right out of the get-go wasn't coming out of the gate here. Maybe it's coming out today. Who knows? There's always a bill that's been filed or pre-filed or was on the record from last year. But there are a lot of things that we are going to see. Coming forth. I just wanted to make a statement on what were the first things that came out. So that's 864-332-9355. Okay, what does this one say? I heard Greenwood has too many Mexican restaurants. Well, obviously, people like Mexican restaurants because they wouldn't keep coming if people if people didn't keep patronizing them. So, but we still have not found out. Nobody has told me. If you know this, you want to remain anonymous and give me an anonymous tip. 864-332-9355. Would love to know. Is Chipotle going into next to the mall there where it was originally thought to be a tire store? There are no bays. We've done investigative reporting on this. Inquiring minds want to know what is going in that building. Is it a Chipotle? Crickets. Just crickets this morning. Somebody's got to tell me. I've got to get more serious about this. I thought somebody would just tell me the answer. So, we don't know. All right. But also, Chris got a book on the history of Greenwood, and he sent me a page out of it that I thought was so very, very cool. Very, very cool. Talking about the beginning of WCRS. So neat about the fact that, well, let's see, what was it? When WCRS was getting started with in here in Greenwood, South Carolina. And this has nothing to do with anything except it's interesting information. Let's see, I want to give a little shout out on that. What does it say here? I got to get close to be able to read it. Where does it say the college and the fire perhaps? 5 months after this, okay. Lander with the lease to get exclusive control, including the right to lay underground wires, to have egress and ingress and egress at the discretion to erect such buildings, like towers and or equipment is necessary to remove within a reasonable time. All improvements be the property upon termination of the lease. Lander College did have the right upon a year's written notice to terminate the lease if Greenwood should be sold. If Greenwood should be sold. It was necessary that the new owners operate the station in a manner determinable to the best interest of Lander College in the opinion of its trustees. 5 months after this extraordinary lease was executed, it was amended again for the consideration of $5 to cover nearly 4 acres of the college farm for the studios, transmitter building, antenna, and other facilities of Grenco because of mechanical and acoustical difficulties with the Wilson Hall basement. The original option to buy was reconfirmed in an interesting juxtaposition of dates. That option was exercised nearly 7 years later, just before the transfer of college assets in Greenwood. On April 1st, 1948, Grenco, that was the original company of WCRS, bought for $2,500 a 5-acre tract of college property. So this is just, when you look at the prices and when you look about how this came together for WCRS, that is some valuable information. You know, WCRS went on the air September 1st, 1941. And this goes, I guess, talking further about how things came together. Very interesting stuff on WCRS. So that's just a little aside on my part. But I wanted to thank Chris for getting me that information and really appreciate it a lot. All right. Other things that are going on, we do have some events and whatnot you might be interested to know. Number 1. Property taxes tomorrow. If you do not pay your property taxes tomorrow, you will have to pay penalties or interest on that. So get your Get your taxes in today, get your taxes in tomorrow. If you want to mail them, you can. But as we have been talking about the post office, just because you drop it in the box doesn't mean it's going to get postmarked that date. So, excuse me. So, if you want to mail it, no problem, but take it inside the postmark and have it postmarked today's date. That is one of the things that is very important. You know that Carrie Hoffman, CEO and president of the Greenwood Promise, will be with us this afternoon at 5. Other things that are coming up, affordable spay and neuter clinic out there at the Humane Society will be happening Tuesday, January 27th. It's open to all South Carolina and Georgia residents. They will be doing, spay and neuter on cats and dogs. So that they'll be doing vaccines, I do believe, and they will be microchipping, nail trims. It says they're going to be doing all kinds of tests out there too. You do have to sign up in advance. I would suggest going to the Humane Society's website and check that out. This is the Dixie Walker Self Spay and Neuter Clinic. This is just terrific if people will take advantage of it. Carolina Place Animal Hospital will be there doing these large spay and neuters, and this is terrific. Just get it done. Let your pets be happy. Don't have them worrying about not getting out and finding where they need to go to, So let's keep them happy and let's try to reduce the population. That is the only way we can get the dog and cat situation under control, is to reduce the population. And we have too many animals running around here that just have one purpose in mind: to procreate, to have more puppies. And then it's just off to the races, and then we see how many puppies has the Humane Society taken in this year. And last year, way too many. So we could all do our part. Penny said, I did it. Didn't hurt me a bit. I'm happy. Just thought I'd mention that this morning. All right, what else do we have going on? That Daddies is hiring. Great opportunity for students. If you they are looking for front counter team members. Please apply at Fat Daddies. Yes, they need some help over there. Coming up on Thursday, January 22nd, in Edgefield, and Wednesday, January 28th, right here in Greenwood at Cornerstone's, their office over there at 1612 River Street. They are doing a lunch and learn, clearing the air about youth vaping. I think this is hugely important. What parents and caregivers need to know about vaping and e-cigarettes. What is vaping? What ingredients are in the vapes? What are the impacts on youth health? How does vaping impact a community? So that here in Greenwood will be January 28th, 12 noon. Light lunch provided, limited space, RSVP required. Call Alan Easler at 864-227-1001. That is Cornerstone that is doing this, a free lunch and learn to talk about vaping. Highly, I think, impactful and something great. Also, coming up on... They're having some daddy-daughter dances. One of them is February 13th at over in 96 at the train depot. That'll be from 5 to 7. I also know they're having one at Emerald High School. I don't have that information right with me right now, but they are having one. They're also having, coming up on Saturday, February 7th, Run your ice off with Self-Regional Healthcare. 5K and 8K run and walk uptown Greenwood at the Fountain. Race that starts at 8:30 in the morning. Whew. Saturday, February 7th. Early registration, $30 until 1:21. Registration, $35 after 1:21. Check-in starts at 7:30. You can call 864-223-8431. That is also self-regional, but the Greenwood Chamber takes care of all the details on that, so that's a good one right there. And coming up this Friday, this is an important one for those of you that need food or know somebody that needs food. The Greenwood County Free Food Distribution is this Friday, January 16th, from 9 to 11 at the South Main Baptist Church, 1000 Main Street, South Greenwood, right there. Make sure you do not have to get out of your car. You do not have to fill out any paperwork. It is on a first come, first serve. That is 9 to 11 this coming Friday at South Main Baptist Church. So please, if you are in need of food, go by. They'll bring the box right to your car. So there you go. Here's something else you may not know about, but the Greenwood County High School seniors, don't miss your opportunity to earn a $5,000 scholarship from the South Carolina Association of Counties. One graduating Greenwood County senior will be selected to receive a Board of Directors scholarship. Application deadline is February 1st. Complete application along with required supporting documents must be submitted by the deadline. Learn more by going to sccounties.org, and then there is a / SCAC scholarship program. So that's a $5,000 scholarship there, folks. I wanted to remind you, make sure you tune in this afternoon. Make sure you tune in this afternoon to hear all about what the Greenwood Promise is doing for our community through education with our students. I think that sometimes we don't realize all the extra things that are happening all around us that are transforming our community. So I hope you'll tune in this afternoon to hear all about it. Excuse me, to hear all about it, or to watch it on WCRS will be Facebook Live. Now, I got a fun thing over here with Chick-fil-A. They are doing a sleepover stuffed animal sleepover. Now, when I first saw that, I thought, they're having a sleepover at Chick-fil-A? No, the stuffed animals get to sleep over. January 23rd at 6 p.m. Pickup time is on the 24th from 9 to 10. Come enjoy crafts with Mr. Cow and get your stuffed animal ready to spend the night at Chick-fil-A. Then pick up your stuffed animal the next morning and see what they did during their sleepover. What a hoot. That is terrific. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. No, it's not a sleepover for the kids. It's a sleepover for the stuffed animals. And what a marketing concept. They get you there for that night, and then they get you to come back by that morning. Excellent marketing, Chick-fil-A. So sounds like a lot of fun. Take advantage of it, and I'm sure you'll be glad you did. And I'm sure there's probably something little extra for the stuffed animals, too. All right, now, we also have the Food Fight 2026 benefiting United Ministries, Food Bank of the Lakelands, and the Greenwood Soup Kitchen. It's time to join the food fight. And it says, of course, this is the county versus the city. And it's all for a great cause. The food drive runs through February 19th. And as I said, that benefits United Ministries, the Food Bank of Greenwood County, and the Greenwood Soup Kitchen. Last year, the county and the city combined to collect 24,319 pounds of food. It says we're setting our sights on 25,000 pounds of food in 2026. So you can help by donating non-perishable food items at designated collection sites through Greenwood County. Doesn't say anything about the city, but this is from Greenwood County, so I guess that's why. But it is a competition between the county and the city, and we'll see who is going to win that can of corn statue and keep it rolling. But it's all for a great cause. Please get involved in that as you can. Please get some extra canned goods and be able to drop them off. They'll be doing all that kind of stuff, and we'll talk more about that. By the way, if you have some extra old blankets, this is a plea from a plea from Big Oaks Rescue Farm. They'd like to blanket more of our older and fragile horses in this cooler weather. Mary has some small and larger blankets, but we seem to be short some blankets in the 68 to 70-inch sizes. If you have some extra blankets you no longer need with straps and want to donate them, 808 Townsend Road right there in Hodges. They would love to have some extra blankets to keep the horses warm. So even horses need blankets. There you go. And here's the other daddy-daughter dance I wanted to remind you about. That is coming up at Emerald High School. Daddy-daughter dance, you're invited to the Emerald High School when February 6, 6 to 10 p.m., Emerald High School new gym. Tickets are $30 per family at the emeraldathletics.net, so check that out. This is a great opportunity for all to be part of a daddy-daughter dance. I think that's terrific, so check that out. Check that out. I think that is about all I have for today. I'm sure I could find more to talk about, as I always can, but I think I'm going to let that be enough. I must say, I will share something with you. I am sitting here in my chair. I had slippers on this morning. One of my slippers fell off. Penny is sitting underneath my seat here where my foot is, and she is licking my foot. I cannot carry on anymore. This is a true story. Penny, she likes feet. I just got to tell you, you got to keep your shoes on. My slipper fell off, and Penny is just licking my feet. I cannot take it anymore. I've got to give it up. So with that being said, I'll be back this afternoon at 5 o'clock with Carrie Hoffman. Hope you'll join us right here on WCRS. Have a question or a comment, something you'd like to share, something you'd like me to check out, never hesitate to let me know. 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355. Check that out and let me know if you've got a question or a comment about anything I talked about today or something you think I should be aware of. Always want your input. That's going to do it for today. I can't take it anymore. Penny is licking my foot, not my feet, my foot. I have one slipper on, one slipper off. That's a real look behind the curtain, folks. Bye-bye, everybody. That's going to do it for me. And the curtain goes down, and the music hopefully comes up.